computer.
Okay, wait there, got it. Wait there, I need to. It's so dumb.
It's awesome. So I had my eggs and bacon with guns already, so I'm set up. I'm good to go. My American breakfast, and
I, I had a
um,
crumpet. It's so British.
it really is right.
And that's no lie, I actually did.
You really did.
I really did,
Yeah,
yeah.
I really did only have coffee so far. Like I drink
Wow.
coffee and usually just drink black coffee, and then around the afternoon, sometime around 3, I'll have food. But that's it. Yeah,
Oh
2 or 3 cups of
wow.
coffee.
Would
hmm
faint.
In my
Honestly, I need
in
to.
my Star
I'm
Wars.
very snacky. Oh, I love it. Oh, I like
You
that.
saw that?
Yeah, that's
I
cool.
had a I had one that was gifted to me a while back, and I dropped it in the sink, and I dropped it, hit the sink, and then it hit the ground and it busted. So I had to get a new Star Wars mug.
Oh,
Was sad about it. Yeah, I was sad about it. The other one had Luke Skywalker on it and Han
do you know what I
Solo,
watched a couple of
and neither
nights
one of them
ago?
are on here. What?
I watched the Star Wars Christmas special, the holiday
They
special.
have a Christmas special?
Have you
Really?
not? It's not
No.
bad. It's not bad. You've not? Oh,
Is
you
it
need
not?
to.
No.
It's terrible.
I had no
It's the
idea.
worst film ever made.
Is
But
it?
no, it is terrible. It is
But
terrible.
it's appropriately terrible. Like what is it? The Red Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer stop animation claymation. It's
Yes,
really bad, but
yes.
it's nostalgically like one of my favorite. I grew up watching that every year for a while, so well,
I
excellent.
don't
Now I'm
think
gonna watch that.
it's bad. You should. I think Harrison Ford doesn't want to be in it, and you can see it on his face. And
That's
And
hilarious.
Carrie Fisher only agreed to do it if she could have a musical number.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, that's
So
great.
there you go.
It's
You're
all the
welcome.
original actors. Thank you. Yeah, no, I'm excited about that now. That's great. I had no idea. There was so many. They did so much filming of just off the cuff, like stuff off from the movie, and so catching up to some of that stuff I have, but that's one I missed for sure. Wow. Yay. I
Yeah.
get to look forward to looking watching bad Star Wars Christmas. What's another one that what do you have a traditional Christmas nostalgic movie that you watch?
My favorite one is actually I love The Grinch, Jim Carrey. I love that film.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
watch it and I'm like,
Yeah, it's a
okay,
good one.
I get it. I'm in the Christmas spirit and Die Hard as well. The Grinch and Die
You
Hard are
watch
like my
Die
two.
Hard?
Yeah, every year.
That's fantastic.
It's a Christmas
Yes.
movie.
It is a Christmas movie, you're right. I Mom loved Scrooge
Mm,
with Bill Murray
yeah,
and another one. She was big on Scrooge though.
yeah.
That was her go to. And then I've had family members that enjoy watching Elf. Like when Elf came
Yes.
out, I was really happy about Elf because I just that I was like that's going to be one that I watch
I only saw
every
that for
year
the
if I
first
can.
time last year.
Really?
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
weird because
Yeah,
it's
that's
so
great.
big. But I was like, maybe it won't be good, but it's brilliant.
I love Will Ferrell.
Yeah,
Huh?
yeah. He knew.
He he met my ex fiance. He when he was filming Talladega Nights, and she was a entertainer, and the whole crew went to her place of work, and she didn't even know it was him or them or anything like that. And she was a dancer, and she walked over and um, was just talking with him. And so she was giving him a dance, and so she was facing the other way, and she had back then, it was, a fad to have the underneath part of her hair pitch black, and then, the blonde or color on the top. And it was fairly new, and he just sort of and it's hilarious. He sort of like grabbed her, not grabbed her hair, but he was like he was just lifting it up, and he was like, "Hey." And she turned around, she was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Is this a birthmark?" And she laughed. She was like, "No, it's just dye." And he was like, I've never seen it before, and I thought it might be a birthmark." And she was like,
That is
"Well,
the
that's random, but
oddest
okay."
story. That
Yeah, it was
interaction
strange.
is
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah. And then she came home and she was like, "I met Will Ferrell." And I was like, "What?" Like, why couldn't I have been there? Why didn't you
Yeah.
call me?
Holy shit, that's
So funny.
crazy. That is, yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's completely
Yeah.
bizarre.
It's just great. You can't avoid, like, because it just, to me, it proves like Will Ferrell really is just constantly random. And I'm sure, he grows up and he can be, but he still is just constantly like pulling from whatever's around him and
Yeah.
making something out of it. Off
And I
guard,
love
completely
that.
off guard person. Yeah, I do too. Yeah, this is my favorite. Yeah, I do too. I do too. I gonna move us into where how were you raised?
What? Right, guys, strap in. Um, you can obviously tell from my accent that I am not American. I am from, I know, really? I am from Edinburgh, the capital city of Scotland in the UK. Born and bred. My name is Jen. I am an artist, and my page is it's called Jen Does Art now, and I have been doing it for nearly maybe 5 years. I'm not a trained artist. I just started because I was going through my kind of rock bottom time. More about that later. But I used that as a therapeutic tool, and I decided one day to just stick it up on Instagram. No concern with what people thought. I just thought I'm going to share it, and the journey has been absolutely incredible. I have met people from all around the world, your kind self included. I have done things I never thought I would do with it, and I guess I do it because I love it. And even if nobody was watching and nobody was engaging, I would still be creating art. And the art it goes through different kind of periods. I did a lot of kind of drawings of myself and my cat, going through different situations in life. I do some creative stories. I also do a lot of videos specifically talking about life and about mental health and just my own kind of personal relationship to therapy and feeling particular ways, and also just the amazing process, the weird process that is just life. So, yeah, in a nutshell, that kind of is me.
I know you can take a look at my page and be like, I have no idea. He's an artist, but then he throws all this other food stuff up. I don't know. But for me, like we met on Instagram and it was during the pandemic. And so there's a lot of thumb workout going on when it comes to being on the phone and being isolated and being creative. And so I saw your stuff and loved it. And especially the first one that stood out, which is the one that I have all three, but this is the one that stood out the most to me at first. And I, it's awesome. It's simple. It is. And the time that you spent in this in the crema, it stood out to me and made me know like you love coffee. You enjoy coffee. It 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 is coffee, right?
Can I tell you a secret?
Or is it tea?
No, I
It's
um
coffee.
I, I only started drinking coffee last year.
Really?
Yes.
But 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 you did this?
Yeah. I
Really?
love the colors. I love
Wow.
the color and the foam. I don't know,
Mhm.
like it
Me
was
too.
lockdown. Things got weird.
Well, no, it stood out and it was like, man, I really want that. And so I reached out and was happy to find out that I could purchase your art. And then so I got three more pieces.
Mm.
This one is my mushroom house. I love it. And then the castle. So okay, so let me give you my guest bathroom. It has a setting with it, right? I've sent you pictures of it, but audience may not know. And what it is it has like I'm a recovering meth addict, so I have the character from Breaking Bad. There was a local artist here that did a piece that has him with his mask on and stuff, and then Brian Cranston, and I forget his character name right now. And then there's other pieces that are Halloween, gothic sort of. There's a blend of stuff there, but it all has this like edge to it. So when I saw this castle, like I absolutely this it truthfully brought everything else together because it has those elements with it. So it has that gothic feel with it, but it has that simplicity, that elementary simplicity to it. Um, but every piece that I see you do has this element of work, like diligence, and it has a heartfelt um, intention. You can it in every single one. There's this heartfelt intention behind it that you can see. It's plain, and that to me is the what shows in my mind the appreciation for those who are basically serious about it or not. You know, I mean, modern art and artists, a lot of them, they had, you know, in other words, not to knock Pollock and um, a lot of the modern artists that had elementary parts to their work, right? Those are huge too. And some of that does have to do with how they were raised in their privilege, growing up, meeting who they met, and becoming immersed, growing up, being immersed in art, had them have these moments of clarity where they went in. And then there's other people that could have done the same thing and it not be recognized. Um, so there's just a mix mosh when it comes to what's considered the market as far as
Mhm.
art is concerned. So I've always appreciated um, all the whole spectrum of people and artists and how they come about. So yeah, I wanted to share that part, and I'm gonna let you run with it. You will go from there.
Great. I guess to start off, because it's, everybody's journey and everything that we all go through, it's so complicated and convoluted, and I could speak for such a long time on it. So I will condense it. I was I have or had, it's still, or was working through something called complex PTSD. And I guess that has really
Mhm.
stemmed from things in my life, in my early life, late teens, things that had kind of happened to me that at that point I just could not work through. I couldn't address. I couldn't even. I feel at that age as well when you're like, I need to get a career. I need to be an adult. It's like you're running on this treadmill and I just couldn't stop. So there was a lot of baggage that I was bringing into my adult life that I just
Mhm.
was avoiding. I didn't have the tools to deal with it. I didn't have the support network of people around, or I felt at the time that I could kind of talk to about it. So what I did was I just kept studying. I went to university. I got 2 degrees. I went um, into teaching, and then at about the age, so I'm 34 next week. So about 10 years ago, about 24, 25, I could start to feel the wheels coming off. And it wasn't big kind of moments, but I was feeling more panicked about any little kind of plan changing. I couldn't cope with change. I needed to feel really safe all the time. So I would cancel plans with friends and family. I just wanted to be cocooned and feel that nobody could kind of hurt or touch me, or I felt weirdly very unsafe. I wasn't sleeping very well, and because I didn't really understand that actually this is something that's going on in your head, I put it down to, well, you're just not fulfilled in your life, so you're going to have to work harder. So I moved to the Netherlands and I started a master's in education. And I moved away from all my support networks. I moved away from everybody. And I remember sitting in a lecture theatre, and there was this weird light bulb moment that came on when I realised this isn't working. This isn't fixing anything, and I'm feeling worse. And it was really frightening. And at that point, I still hadn't realised it was really anything to do with my mental health. Um, I'm of a certain generation, and I think you will be too, that even then, it just still wasn't talked about. Mental health, it was kind of somewhat taboo. It was something to just, it was a personal failure, I felt, to kind of admit any
Mhm.
weakness. So after my master's, I moved back to Edinburgh, where I got promoted to a very, very responsible job. And I was feeling even worse. I was exhausted. I was crying all the time. I felt terrified of everything and everyone. And there was a complaint that got sent through to me, just a normal one that a parent would send, or whatever, just about didn't have a coat that came home, and I completely broke down. And whenever we talk about your rock bottom moment, in that moment, it's like my brain and my body and my soul that just kept running and running away from my issues and my kind of my deepest, darkest fears. Everything just kind of came to me in that moment. And the thing that happens with complex PTSD is that you start to get flashbacks. So I was getting these weird memories that were coming back to me out of complete nowhere. And I honestly thought I was going mad. And I was too ashamed to tell anybody. I thought I didn't know how to cope. And there is a,
This was before this was before you reached out to anyone or
yeah,
anything. You started to have these already.
yeah.
Okay.
I didn't tell anybody. I just thought I felt so ashamed of myself, and I thought I can cope. I am strong. I was terrified, and I was very alone. Even though I had a lot of beautiful, loving people around me, I just did not
Mhm.
know at that time how to open up that dialogue about how I was struggling. And there is a beautiful video on YouTube from the School of Life, and it is a brilliant
I
mini
love that
clip.
channel.
Oh, it's amazing, and the one video that stood out to me is what happens during a breakdown. And it's like your brain posts little letters to you when your mental health is bad, and it sends you some signals,
Mhm.
whether it be, if you're not feeling very well, you're tired, you're getting kind of anxious, and if you ignore them, your mind and your body will start sending you bigger, scarier signals to kind of highlight
Mhm.
you need to address some things. And then the last part
Mhm.
of it, if you still don't address it, it sends you a bomb disguised as a parcel, and it
Yep.
explodes. And that is exactly what happened to me. I went to the owner of the company that I worked for, and I told her everything that had happened to me, things that I had never told anybody. And that was in September. And I am not lying when I say to you that I cannot remember 2 months of my life. I remember walking home after that happened, and then I cannot remember anything until possibly around the kind of Christmas period. It's like my brain just shut down. It just needed to restart. And that, for me, after decades of running away from difficult things and not being able to reach out or not knowing how to reach out, I
Mhm.
came to my rock bottom moment where I could not function as a human. I couldn't speak. I could barely eat. If it wasn't for the loving people in my life, I might have had to have gone somewhere to receive treatment, because I just could not.
Mhm.
I couldn't make it to the kitchen. I just lay there, and I would say that that was a terrifying experience. But in all honesty, I can't remember it. The months after, kind of having to grapple with what to do next, felt more terrifying,
Mhm.
because I kind of
Mhm.
lifted out of that kind of fog that you descend into when you hit that moment in your life.
That spot. Yeah, it's um for me it was like and how I hear you saying it, what you're saying is that in hindsight we understand this is that We don't know that we're supposed to address anything.
Yeah.
We're just supposed to keep moving, and that stuff will take care of
Mhm.
itself. And then as you're moving, um, that stuff just keeps coming back, and it's a part of our neurosystem. And so our neurosystem is feeding us, hey, like, you need to take care of this. This is dangerous, danger, danger, danger. And
Yeah.
then, you know, our brain or whatever function it is, how we learn from our definitions of what society is, however you want to look at it, is just to keep moving through it. And so that idea is different. We're playing it out differently than, of course, we would now because we've learned our lessons. But um, when you finally went to spill the beans, whatever it is, it did do a reset. It is like doing a restart on the computer or whatever, and your neurosystem is going, "Oh God, thank you so much. You really helped out." But then you're like, "Okay." The other part of you is saying, now you've got a whole lot of work to do. You just opened up Pandora's box. Like, um, here comes the circus. There's all of this other stuff that's going.
Yes.
It's like, oh, wow. Good to know. And it's like, the reality is, you know, there we are needing to be responsible. And I didn't know that I needed to handle these
Mhm.
things. So yes, there is work to do. Um, However, I don't have to continue to do it that way if I don't want to. Now I can choose to do it that way, and I'm probably going to end up in the same place again. And sometimes we do play that role and do that again. So, um, your experience has from that point, what 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 did you end up doing? What was your experience? And did obviously you continued getting some sort of care. So I'm going to let you tell that story. I'm not going to tell your story for you.
I guess when I hit that point and when I started to come back out and I started to just the dust settled somewhat, I do remember thinking, I either have to deal with this or I'm going to die. And it was really as kind of and I nobody wants to say that out loud, but we recover loudly so people don't die quietly, and I try and be as candid about
Tell it.
that because I felt so much pain and anguish that I didn't want to be here, and I thought, well,
Hmm.
I either try or this is it. So I went to my doctor, who in the first 5 minutes was like, well, here's antidepressants. and and I know everybody's different, and there
Hmm.
is a place for them. I just felt, for me, I
Hmm.
remember leaving feeling really sad and thinking, I don't need this. I just need to talk to somebody. As
Hmm.
much as my whole body was just in physical pain, my whole soul was on fire. I kind of always felt, for me, the path was to kind of talk to somebody. And I'm very fortunate that I found a really good therapist. And I guess in February, the year after that kind of happened, I embarked on quite a long stint in therapy, because when you carry that much, it takes quite a long time to kind of unpack it, to the point also that you feel like,
Hmm.
I'm happy. And it took me 5 years. I actually only finished therapy a couple of months ago. which it's in some way, and which I'm happy about. And I always thought to myself, I'm going to finish it when it feels right for me,
Right.
because trauma trauma is not just about a traumatic event that happens to you or a series of events that happen to you. It's also, I guess, how you just respond and react to life and the daily occurrences and things that just go on all the time. And it really impacted me so much that a lot of my life was affected by it.
You, f-
My
you
standard of
froze up.
living was impacted. Oh, sorry. I was just saying, I feel like I needed that because my standard of living was so low that trauma impacts so many different facets of your
Hmm.
life that I really needed help learning how to be myself, learning how to deal with life
Hmm.
in a competent way that I don't put myself at risk and I don't kind of make others feel sad. You know, I always, in the back of my
Hmm.
mind, also, I wanted to get better, not just for myself, but I wanted to improve the relationships I had around me. So for me, going on that therapeutical journey was one of the best decisions I ever made. And I will say, though, it is not for the faint hearted. It was one of the hardest things I have
Hmm.
ever had to do because I had to look at myself and look at everything that had happened, look at myself. And I always say it's like, you know, when you have like a really bad dream and I can sometimes wake myself up from it. It's like staying in that nightmare and looking directly at the thing that terrifies you the most. And
Hmm.
it is 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 hard. It physically it is painful, emotionally it is painful, but it is the best thing I have ever done. And I cannot tell you enough actually that, you know, how life altering it has been.
Yeah. So yeah, and I'm so happy you did that, and I'm so happy that you were able to call yourself to the carpet, and then also be gentle enough to recognize that, um, whatever I need to share that, and in a safe place. And l- I- like you said, I truly believe it is, in my experience as well. It is a lifestyle choice to move in, um, a maintenance direction. And so, no matter what, like, you're, of course, willing, if ever needing to go back, you're available for it. And then, whatever you have done in that therapy has been tools that have allowed you to interact with th- society and your people in a different way, and be open to what kind of, um, personality change and actions that create those spaces for the ones around you,
Mhm.
yourself. And so you do see the world differently,
Yeah.
um, and you see the world with a responsive, um, pause, basically, is what I would say, is like, that's in you now in a way that you can you can interact without huge fear of avoiding things that you know now you it's not healthy for you to avoid. And that's going to move us into, you know, the changes that come about, like the what happened part of the changes that come about that allow you to interact with your community in a, um, not just, and your art is a part of that. That's part of what, attracted me in and was like, wow. And then you're sharing your experiences on Instagram, and I was like, man, that is huge, for anybody, for somebody to do that. It's just amazing. And so that that part of it where you start to realize that you're being of service to your community and maybe not realizing it fully, but you know that you've got to share that, be that vulnerable, um, because you know that you can see that you know for a fact that you're helping
Mhm.
others, on some level, even if it's just one person, that part of it. So yeah, okay.
I guess, yeah, I mean, it's like working on yourself. It was always explained to me in, going through therapy or however you decide to, I don't like improve yourself or move through kind of mental illness. It's like a pebble that's dropped. It has a ripple effect to everybody else. So when
Hmm.
you are working on yourself, and listen, I am not like Mother Teresa. I am still like I'm still an idiot sometimes, and do stupid stuff. But
Me too.
yeah, but I feel more like myself than I think I ever have at any point in my life because I have the freedom to, because I realize that, well, one, nobody cares, really, no one cares. And I have broken out of those chains that had kind of contained me for so long. So on a personal level, that's of course that's really good. Yay for me. But what that also does is that it inspires other people to not take themselves too seriously, to maybe share some vulnerabilities because they see somebody who's also doing it. And
Hmm.
and maybe also because I'm not too young anymore. So like, a big change in a process happens when I guess you get into your 30s, your 40s, that you start to kind of lose that kind of, I don't really care what people think. In some ways I do though. I want people to take these words that I say on, and I want people to know that they really
Hmm.
aren't alone in how they feel, because for such a long time in my life I honestly thought, well, nobody feels this way, nobody feels this pain. And I guess the reason that I come on and I talk to people and I do what I do is to really put that message across that you are not alone. Bad things happen to a lot of people, and it's not fair and it's not right. And we are all of us are left with the shit that other people have put on us, whether intentionally or, unintentionally. We all carry the scars of people. And whilst that is quote unquote normal, we can move past it and we can recover. And it's not an easy process. It doesn't just happen overnight, but there are things that we can all do that can better our lives. And we deserve that. And I guess in a way, the reason it did
Hmm.
take me such a long time also is because I thought I didn't deserve it. There was a part of me that just thought, well, I deserve this pain. I don't know if it's a
Hmm.
British stoicism. I don't know if it's a generational thing, part of being a woman. I don't know. But I thought I just deserved to feel like that. And nobody, no one deserves to feel in pain that way. You deserve to
Mm-mm.
live life in a contented way. And I guess through the artwork, it never started off like that. It always, for me, it came, and I guess maybe when you were explaining my art in the way that it's simplistic, but it comes from somewhere, it comes from my soul because I don't try and be like anybody else. I don't try and make it look good. It just I draw in the way that I used to draw as a child. Obviously a little bit better now because I've been doing it a lot, but I still draw in the scratchy
It's
way.
beautiful. Yeah.
But I doodle, I tinker, I because I have nothing to prove to anybody.
Hmm.
And one and but and
It makes
I
a
had to learn
difference.
that. I had to learn that. And it does,
Hmm.
it makes a difference. But I want to show people through my art and through my words that you can create, you can show yourself to the world and be unapologetically you, and it is fine because I have received love in a way that in respect, but I've received praise and
Hmm.
the kind words that people give me that I've helped even a few people. It's like it has put me on a different path in my life, and I have been training and I'm going into training to work as a psychotherapist. So this whole journey has completely changed my
Yay.
career, my path in life, and I would never be able to see that had I not gone through it myself. So I just want to keep helping now.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's great. I love it. I love to celebrate it.
Hmm.
You are and you get to know, like that's one of the parts of my journey that I've been on is letting the people know and making sure that they know that they're a huge part of inspiring me. And so with that is addressing for you that this channel and me being intent with sitting down with these individuals, you're a huge part of inspiring me to do this. That, like, you're a large portion of this channel, you're a large portion of me wanting to have not just other people sharing their vulnerabilities, right? um, Letting them know that they matter, that they can create, they can connect with their communities in the way that they feel is comfortable and safe, and that as they're doing that, they're affecting and helping others know that they're not alone as well. So that is something that I know I've expressed, but you like really get to know that that's what you've done for me. So, and I love it, and it's exciting to know that you're taking that next level because it's not for everybody, and it's not easy to move into a place where it's like you're really to go and go into to go say I need counseling, take counseling, and then move into a place where it's like I want to be that for others as well.
Oh.
Come here, come here, come say hey to Miss Jen. Come here, come here. He's shy. Come here.
Oh.
You want to say hey to Miss Jen? Come here. He's like, I don't want you to pick me all the way up.
Oh my
This is my boy.
lord. You are gorgeous.
Say hey.
Look at him. Oh my gosh. I like that. Still not looking at the camera though. Oh yes.
Right.
Oh,
he's
adorable,
he's
dude.
he's a posh little regal little king.
Oh, I love that.
He's
A wee
yeah, I
porky.
call him my kitty dog
Oh,
because he's just basically he's a dog, but he's like a cat too. So
oh, I love that.
that's all you get for spotlight. I'm gonna end up giving him a ramp or something so he can sit up here and
Oh my god, that would be
be in the
incredible.
background or something. So yeah, back to what we were talking about. Yeah, is that part, and it's a huge step to move from there to there and to make those decisions. And, and I feel like people do find their ways, but to choose to that you can be available for your community. Excuse me. You can be available for your community and be an inspiration. And you've been doing that. But to make it that next step to where you're committing to a service, a level of service that I see as badly needed, and it says a lot about how that helped you
Mm,
and what you're committed to doing for yourself and others. And then even if it's something that you do for a short period of time, or 5-10 years, whatever it is, and then you say, okay, I'm done with that, it's still fine. You're committed to having that experience in your life. And I can say with my experience, as far as it's gone, um, it there are some beautiful things that occur when meeting the people that I've met, and the parts of their life. Truly, part of a future idea for me is to move into a place where I sit with folks. Have you ever seen the channel on YouTube that's the white underbelly something or another?
yes,
And
I
he
have.
sits with people
Yeah,
from the street and he
yeah.
interviews those. And I liked it, and I watched his interviews, and I think they're great. They're a bit in my mind, like, still, even though you're connecting, right? He is connecting with them and he does do that. There's still a bit of an offset to it,
Mhm.
that I would enjoy. The people that I would sit with would be a lot like the same scenario. So that is something that I'm looking forward to as I progress, is having conversations with those two, because they're doing things that are amazing and helpful, and being a part of their community the way that they're being a part of their community gets to be acknowledged. And I think that's something too. So um okay, I am talking too much, so I want to let you um go into the place where you're doing that, you're committed to that. And what are some of the projects that you're working on, otherwise, because you have, and what kind of information you want to share for people to connect with you on?
Well, thank you. I just want to say before, like, I go into that, it's it feels like for both of us, it's quite a full circle moment because we both met each other in our
Hmm.
lives, through the internet. We're quite
Which is
vulnerable.
incredible on its
I
own.
know, you're completely different
It
people.
really is.
Not really. I mean, we were both kind of struggling. We were both going through certain things, and we connected and stayed connected over the years. And I just think it's a beautiful. This is a beautiful example of what can happen when two individuals are vulnerable and allow themselves to be vulnerable in their chosen art, their chosen platform. And, you are creating something that is helping people, and you're giving a platform to also to people like me who want to talk about this. And I want to thank you and congratulate you on doing something that, you know, is, I'm really proud of you, and I'm excited to also see your journey, because it's special. And to be a to wanting to be part of a community, particularly in days like this, you know, the world that we're living in, when our, I guess, our concept of community is changing and it's becoming smaller and smaller. To want to be part of that and to want to help people, there needs to be more people
Mhm.
like that. So I'm very proud of you, and thank you. I just wanted to say that first.
Mm, thank you. Yeah. No, thank you. Yeah. You're gonna make me blush. Thank you.
So I guess, like,
I
on,
appreciate it.
yeah, well, you know, we're all, I guess, and you don't have to have gone through like terrible things to want to put something back out into the world. But I feel, you know, I guess for I don't want to say like people like us, but people who have gone through system of like rehabilitation, therapy, all of that,
Mhm.
it gives you a certain perspective. It's definitely a before and after your kind of view on the world, and I
Mhm.
kind of can see the world with a, and it sounds crazy, but it's true. I see the world with a different pair of eyes. I have a
Mhm.
lot more love
Mhm.
in my heart. I
Yeah.
can allow people into my life. I almost annoy people with how much I tell them that I love them, because I never want people in my life to not know that, you know, I don't want them to ever feel like I don't. I want us to all shift off the mortal coil, knowing that I loved them, because, you know, we go through loss, we grieve, and what I wouldn't give to have, like, I, you know, I speak about my grandparents quite a lot, but they were very involved in my life. Like, what I wouldn't give to have them in my life again. I would just tell them I loved them every single minute of every single day. So I do that to people that I love. You know, my friends. I will shout to my colleagues down the street, "Love you. See you tomorrow." I tell the kids.
Same. Yeah.
I just I want people to feel that way, and I do that online as well. I'm so appreciative. I I know that,
Mhm.
like, there are a lot of artists that don't have very much exposure, and I guess like I'm kind of in the middle of like having quite a lot. And you know, I got recognized once in a my stardom. I got recognized in this tiny town called Peebles. I was sitting having a coffee, and a car drove past, and I got a little Instagram message, and I thought, hey, that's pretty neat. And anyway, but that was just, I I live.
Where is that? Where's
Peoples is just a
People's?
tiny,
Peep.
like, it's a like a little town outside of Edinburgh. It's rather cute. It's very
Awesome.
quaint. It's, you know, it's just, it's out in the countryside. It's lovely. Um, but to have the exposure, I guess, in the way that I do, it comes with a responsibility that I feel like, in my mind, that if I'm gonna have the responsibility, like, I feel like it's a responsibility to not just be putting out kind of like, nah, like, I want to say something, I guess, with the platform that I have. And of course, there are
Mhm.
times that it's complete nonsense, and I put up my illustrations and the my collages, and that are funny and make people laugh and that are joyful, and then it goes serious. And I want to provide that kind of platform. So yeah, I am on Instagram. It's Jen Does Art now. Maybe should have thought about that more seriously when I started it, because I've been doing it now for 5 years, but I'm keeping it because it sounds cute, and I guess it is. Um, a project that's coming up fairly soon is that there is a documentary about me, which, again, I will refer to the British Stoicism, that my Britishness, even when I say it, makes me kind of like cringe that that's happening. But I'm being proud of it. But again, it's just about
That's
the
awesome.
journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
it's wild.
very cool.
I'm always
Where
on. I'm
can
always, yeah.
where's that coming out? Where is
That's
that
going to be
coming?
on YouTube, so that's coming out
It
fairly
will be,
soon.
okay.
Yeah, and I will,
Is
as
that
always.
a channel?
Uh, yes, but if you follow my account, I will put up a link because just now it's still
Okay, gotcha.
final tweaks are happening.
Okay,
Um, but I'm proud of that,
understood.
and I'm proud of it just because
I'm excited for it.
yeah, I'm proud. That art has been like my savior in a way, and it's been my mode to express myself
Mhm.
and to see that it helps people and it offers people a lift. I never would never put it behind one of those paywalls or anything. Everything that I do is like you just can look at it. There's no subscriptions. It's just there because art should be enjoyed and joy should not have payment attached to it, um, in my opinion. So it's all there for everyone to see.
I agree. I believe that we should enjoy compensation by knowing that we affect others with more joy.
Mhm.
And then I believe that our um, work and diligence in being committed to becoming um, a better quality version of ourselves is compensation in itself, and should be compensated for in ways that, like, I want you to be able to not just seek thriving by labor. I don't want you to always have to labor for thriving, but I also don't want to take away the labor as
Mhm.
well. So there's a balance there that I
Yeah,
feel like everyone on the planet deserves. And I truly believe doing things like this and supporting people wherever they are helps that happen, and will, as time passes, even if it's after we're past and gone, um, will be a better version of the planet than it is now. So, I, it, and there may be some crazy, scary nightmare war scenarios that occur between then as well. Unfortunately, there are those who think or need it to be that way. I don't think it needs to be that way, unfortunately, but people's nightmares do come true for them, and we get to acknowledge and live through that as well. But you know, the ones who decide to take their nightmares and share them in a way that benefits others for emotional literacy and emotional intelligence and mental health and healthy, constructive, um, creative, artful ways is where I feel like I have a membership card. That's definitely where I have the membership card. And for me, you know, how that gets supported is really important. And so I hope that have been of success for you to be supportive in that way. To the best of my ability, I've tried, and I absolutely love you too. And I love your moxie, your dedication, and your willingness to go in deep with who you are, and then present it to the world the way that you have. And so I really thank you for that.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Like
Yeah.
honestly, and I love you too. And just yeah. Oh, this is nice. This is what it should be about. I would
Right.
always say though, if I could ever leave like a parting gift, maybe not a gift as such, but when we talk about rock bottom, I will always say that it was one
Mhm.
of the best, worst things to ever happen to me. Because if I
All right.
didn't get that, I would never be here. So I am eternally grateful that my brain, my brain exploded basically, and I'm so grateful that that happened to me when it did, so I could recover and be this version of myself because I am who I should have been a long time ago. So I'm making up for lost time by, working hard and doing all of the things. But, rock bottom, it's there for a reason. One has to climb out of it. But if
Mhm.
you're there, you have the capacity to get out of that.
Yeah, the one of my mentors said it this way, and thank you for sharing that because it's extremely important. Is one of my mentors used to say, um, people ask, "How deep does it go?" And the answer is, it can continue. It can go as deep as you want it to. The point is to stop digging
Mm.
and to start looking on what ask for help to see if you can get out. So you can choose right now to be at your rock bottom, and yes, you have to ask for help. It's part of it.
Yeah.
Other people, how I've said that in my past is, I realized other people were on the planet and they had something to say that I might learn from.
Mm-hmm.
And from that place, I understood I might be wrong about everything. And then I can ask for help and be open to what is coming at me when I do that.
Yeah.
And from that place, that's where I begin to get the leveling and stop digging. And that was my rock bottom when I chose to stop digging.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, Primo, thank you for that point. I appreciate it. And
I
thank
always
you
think, oh, sorry,
so
I
much.
was going to hit you with another
Um,
point. I'm sorry, there's too much.
do it. Do it. No,
I,
no, throw it at me. I love it.
okay,
Keep going.
one,
Listen, I need you to understand one thing before you go is that I could listen to you speak forever. Like, I'm serious. Like, you could talk for the rest of the next. We could just keep. We could put it on a live stream. I'm not kidding.
is it
I
the accent?
love listening to you talk. It's that and what comes out, like the things you say, also like the whole thing. So
Well, thank
it's
you.
it's it's the accent makes it like that's like cherries on top. You know what I'm saying? So, but go ahead. So I didn't mean it. Please
Did
speak.
I even, what was I even going to say? No, I, I got a compliment. I'm blushing. What I was going to say, yeah, what I realized as well is like throughout that whole journey, the biggest thing I learned actually is people are kinder, softer, and gentler than you think they will be. Like I had built everything up in my head
Mhm.
that no one's going to understand. Oh my god, I'm going to be shunned, and I'm lucky, and maybe it doesn't happen all the time, but I did find that even the people I was scared to, like particularly my parents, because
Mhm.
once you
Mhm.
leave home, I kind of thought, right, that's it. I'm an adult, and it didn't come kind of straight away because I think they were more kind of like, how is this why has this happened? How could this happen? But over the years, I don't know, my communication to people has just gotten a lot better, and I like that they know the real me, warts and all.
Mhm.
And and the people around me, my friends, even though they didn't know the right things to say, but just knowing that they were there and just saying, I'm always here for you. It's okay. Thank you for telling me. And I would say that, I would say that, if you're on the other end of somebody that's coming to you that's got a lot on, don't offer solutions. If somebody is coming to you and they're
Huge.
going
Yeah.
through it, just say, "Oh gosh, that sounds really difficult. I'm here. If you need
Hmm.
somebody to listen, you can tell me. Obviously you need to keep yourself safe too, which is very important.
Hmm.
But you know, when people are coming to you, my grandma had always said, what her saying, you know, I I can't even remember it, but basically like if somebody asks, give advice if somebody asks you for it. Someone wants advice,
Hmm.
they'll ask you. Otherwise,
Yeah.
just listen. And
Right.
I became a much better person, and I'm doing the counselling course as well, become a much better listener, and you're a much better support when you're there to listen. Um, and also my last point before and I will shut up, but it is about the kind of hitting rock bottom. A nice, gentle piece of advice that my mum always gave me throughout the years when I was struggling is, my mum always said, look up to the sky, look at the birds, look at the clouds, take a breath. And I always employ that, even if it's pouring with rain, which in Scotland is very, is very common. But I will, in times of feeling overwhelmed, because our gaze, when we're stressed, we don't want to
Hmm.
interact with people. We tend to look down. Just put your chin up a bit. If you're out walking at night, look at the
Hmm.
stars. It won't cure everything, but it will just change that perspective. And sometimes, even just exercising that motion, stretching your neck, can
Hmm.
just relax you a wee bit so that there's that little kind of, you give yourself a little moment. And it's a really nice thing to give yourself a moment to recognize our tiny, insignificant space in this grand world that we're living in. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's my
No.
advice.
Yeah. Taking a break. Yeah.
Take it.
No. Yeah. You have some wonderful people in your life that have given you little nuggets that are amazing. I was lucky enough to have a mother that I'm. That's what this is. I'm wearing her. This was her necklace, and that's me. So some people might say, "Well, that's the little narcissist." Well, my mother wore this, so and I'm lucky enough to have a mother that told me nuggets like that as
Yeah.
well. Like just take a breath and be in nature and just observe. You don't have to say anything. And she taught me how to be a good listener. I didn't know that she was teaching me that at the
Yeah.
time. And I was a terrible listener for a really long time. And I still give advice sometimes when I
Yeah.
probably shouldn't. Um, yeah, is there anything that you would like to share with the people directly, the audience, the people, the audience that you haven't shared a nugget, a specific thing?
One thing,
Farewell.
and I feel like this is like my last kind of nugget that, I have talked quite regularly about the power of meditation. And a lot of people, when I say it, particularly if I say it to like my parents, or, it's like all like hippy dippy and whatever, but aside to therapy, because now that's stopped, something I never really realized that one needed in life is a toolkit, your emotional toolkit.
Hmm.
And, you can't just have one thing, because, we all need some different things to help us when we feel low. And, I had my therapy, but, talking to friends, talking to family, communication. But one thing that I really do find very, very helpful, particularly because I am an overthinker and I probably always will be, and I do get anxious sometimes, um, is just taking that moment to breathe and to kind of stop. And there are so many apps and there's so many things out there that can kind of help you if you're a complete beginner. I still feel like I am as well. I've been doing it for a very long time, but people think that they can't meditate because when they're meditating and they're closing their eyes, they have all these thoughts going on. That's exactly what's meant to happen. And I think that does, people don't say
Mhm.
that enough. You will be thinking, and that is the point. The skill that you are learning is to kind of recognize those thoughts coming up and trying to kind of let them just go by and go back to the breath. I will have like two breaths when I'm closing my eyes meditating, and then I'll be thinking again, and then I'll be going back to the breath, and then I'll be
Mhm.
thinking. You, it is expected that you should be doing that. But through meditation, I honestly don't have as much anxiety. I react to difficult situations a lot better. And I just,
Mhm.
when, particularly as a teacher, if you have a stressful job, I now know in the moment, I take a breath and it actually does work. And I'm not some hippy
Right.
dippy person. Like, I love a little prosecco. I love going down to the pub. I'm a
Right.
normal kind of person. But my gosh, the power of just being silent. And because, I mean, I have my phone next to me, because we have all of these pieces of technology, when do you ever, apart from when you're sleeping, when do you actually just stop?
Right.
Our brains are going so wild this,
Mhm.
in this day and age, that it is important to stop. It is important, even for, I meditate sometimes for like 5-10 minutes a day. You don't need to sit there for hours upon hours, but
Mhm.
even just getting into the routine
Mm-mm.
of just giving yourself a treat, switching it all off for 5-10 minutes. It's a
Mhm.
really nice thing to do for yourself. And it's difficult at first. It can be a little bit uncomfortable sitting with all those thoughts. But that's why it's helpful. And that is my last tip, because, you know, people,
I feel like what you're saying is I feel like what you're saying is, um, becoming the observer, deciding to, like, take that breath and be open to whatever's happening allows us to become present.
yeah.
And so I'm becoming the observer. I'm just observing and I'm taking that breath. And so the thoughts that you're talking about is for me is like those are going to happen. And so just observe them
Mhm.
and they'll move on. I've learned that from some meditation teachings that is just observe it. Acknowledge that it's there. Don't
Yeah.
try to pretend like it's not. And that way it's not going to persist if we just take that moment to acknowledge it and then it will float away. One more thing, one more thing. What do you suggest people do to have fun, to thrive, like the
Do
joy
the
and
joy.
relax, like, and be able to say fuck this or fuck that or whatever it is. Like, what do you say that
Think
is?
about what you enjoyed doing when you were a child. Think about those things that
Mhm.
when you were a kid that you did, that, and you, maybe you need to really dig deep and think, like, what did I enjoy? But I guarantee you there will be some things, whether it be just going into the woods and exploring, or whether it be playing music, or for me it was art. So, naturally I went back to it. Roller skating, ice skating, skiing, anything. What
Right.
did you find that you loved when you were a kid? And I'm pretty positive if you were to do it again as an adult, and if you let your kind of guard down, and you kind of, you know, you're not too scared of looking kind of silly or whatever, because we're all silly creatures anyway. Doesn't matter how old you are.
Right.
Go back to the things that you enjoyed when you were young, and kind of do it, experiment, have fun. don't go into it being like, I need to get really good at it. You don't need to be good at things. I hate
Right.
this now. I hate this. It's going to
Yes.
be like amazing. I
I
mean,
love that you said that.
I am technically not a great artist, but I'm okay with that. And I think that the
I
reason that my art is
disagree.
good is because I've made peace with that. People like it. You do not have to technically
True.
be good
That.
at
Yes.
something. We've
I
gone
love it.
too far
Yeah.
away from it.
And that is okay. So going out into the woods is one. And then the other is that's why I have my Star Wars because I had Star Wars action figures. Now you're making me think I need to get a couple of Star Wars action figures and just like do little scenarios with them because that's what I would do, was play dolls with my action figures and have them do their Star Wars stuff. So now you've just turned on me getting Star Wars action figures. I carried it as a symbol, but I'm realizing, oh, I need to do that because that's
Yeah,
actually what I did. Play in the woods, play in the dirt, but also do that. So
yeah.
thank you for that. That's awesome.
You're
I
very
appreciate it.
welcome. I guess, we
Jen, thank you.
have to grow up so quickly that we lose it. We lose our fun.
Yeah.
You have to reclaim it again.
Yeah.
You have to reclaim it.
Adulting is so serious and yeah, gray. You're right. I love it. Yeah. Um. That. Yeah. I. 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 There was one thing that we did also when I was just getting sober. Right. I wanted to use like every single day for about 2 years solid. Like I wanted to find. I woke up wanting to get methamphetamines every day. 2 years. And so I was going to meetings because I'd already done the rehab thing, a couple of years before. And I was like, they're just going to tell me to go to meetings. They're just going to tell me to go to meetings. This is way before I decided to actually take therapy 2 years into sobriety, which I probably would have benefited from, but didn't do. And pissed a lot of people off in, recovery room communities because I would just bleh, like share whatever in meetings and people would take me to the side and be like, hey man, I'm like, whatever dude, I'm just coming to meetings. um However, we would do things where we would hang out in little crews of people that were committed to being sober, and we had this thing where when one of us was having a bad day or whatever, we would meet for coffee, and then we would go to the park or something, and we would do. gr- There wasn't any snow, but we would say snow angels, and we would get down on the ground and we'd be like, and scream really loud, freedom. And that's what we would do to like get some of that stuff out, and just have I don't know what you call that, but it's your bodily like relaxing your now I know you're relaxing your neurological system, and you're practicing full on silliness. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you.
That's lovely.
Anyhow, love, I don't want to like drag you through having to spend too much more time with me on the computer.
It's been a
And
pleasure. Thank you so much. Like, honestly, this is it's been beautiful. I'm very appreciative. Thank you.
well, thank you for sharing with us. And well, hopefully we'll speak soon. And I'm so excited for the documentary and what's to come next for both of us.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more.
Okay. Yay. Well, have a good rest of your evening, and give the kitty hugs and kisses for me too. Okay?
Oh, I will. You know it, I will.
Of my document, personal tax information folder. Explorers cause errors and need to be I'm left broken hearted. I entered safe mode about 3 years ago. Never does he processes populate my test management. Faking the funk and take a dump on my network. Call me the administrative account holder. A cold users. Bandwidth of BCC night. Bring your 212 a crawl. Claim you know of no reason at all. The internet to be slow and unresponsive. My email works, but I can't get on the web. Better call Gates before you back up your says he plays. Platters, Riff-Five, drive dealers. Feels not needed to ramble, but is there any way I could get Discovery Channel on my Windows Media Player? DR hate make me wanna hack all I see. Repost FTP for free with an ATL ID emo technology or dual core. I can play all day F since the days of 98. I don't find time I allocate. Taking bites from the stack. Defrag,
So say that again.